So welcome to Thinking Green. We're actually pre-recording this show on Friday, December 3rd, and it'll be aired next Tuesday. And we're continuing with our series of looking at a lot of the nonprofit organizations that enrich life in New London in so many ways, and which at this time of year are often seeking support. So today's show is going to be about the Public Library of New London. My guests are Madhu Gupta, who is the executive director of the library, and Deneen Roth, who is chairwoman of the board. And so welcome to the show. And I guess we can just start. I think you're both kind of familiar faces, but maybe each of you wants to talk a little bit about the history of your involvement with the library.
Thank you, Rana. Deneen, do you want to go first?
Well, since my history is a little longer than yours, Madhu, but I will try to keep it short. I was asked by someone who was on the board at the time, who was a colleague of mine, if I was interested in joining the board. And she told me one of the world's biggest lies, in that I really didn't have to do too much, that it didn't involve too much, just monthly meetings. Well, I found out, I learned, but it was a happy experience, I have to say. And that was over 20 years ago. I don't even remember the year that I began. And as a junior member of the board, I mostly sat and observed. And then slowly, as the more senior members of the board left, there I was with the most experience and not really expecting it. But the library is something that everyone loves and expects to be there. So that was the one great advantage. It was totally an apolitical type of thing. And it was something that did a lot of good for everyone in the community, regardless of age, background, language barriers, any of those things. So it was a great thing to do, because it was something that always made you feel good about what you could accomplish. So here I am as president of the board for many more years than what the bylaws should allow. But it's becoming difficult to find people to step up and fill in some of these social service organization roles. I'm glad to say that we do have several younger members on the board. But the problem is that they have children, and with young children and the way parenting is today, that's very involving and very demanding. So I'm willing to stay on as long as the board and New London needs me and wants me. Madhu, now you can fill in your brief history.
Rana, I have been here almost 9 years now. And I started in the information department, which is the adult services. And I love programming, and our community is diverse. So I was doing programs for adult services, and I was also doing programs that involved the entire library, which is like STEAM month, or involving everybody into science, technology, education, arts programs. I love doing that. And when Suzanne decided to retire, I applied for the position. And today I am here in front of you. So I love my job. This is a wonderful community. And over these years, I have come to know people personally, made a lot of friends, and I've worked with good people. So I'm lucky to be here. That's all I can say.
Well, the library itself, of course, has a very long history in New London. But one thing, I don't know if it's unique, but I think it is unusual that the Public Library of New London is not a municipal department. It's an independent nonprofit that gets some support from the city, but you're not a city employee. So what are the implications for running a library if you don't have that the city as quite as much a backup as it is in many towns?
Rana, we are an association library, and association libraries are way different from what municipal libraries are and the way they function. We do not have departments like an HR department here. We do not have a legal department here. So all of that falls under us. And we are not an expert in those fields. So I generally reach out to the City of New London and to our Board of Trustees for their input, and we go from there. So everything is taken care of in our library itself, and our Board of Trustees make decisions on how things should be done. And I give them the entire, how was the library run? This is happening, and personnel issues, and everything is being taken care of in the library. There are good sides to it, there are bad sides to it. You know what I mean? But we have, as I said, we have our Board of Trustees who I always ask for help whenever needed, and we get good advice because we have a very diverse and versatile staff, Board of Trustees. So yeah, all is good.
I would like to add too that even though we are not a division of the city, that we have had wonderful support from our mayors and our city council. They are really committed to us continuing our role. They do fund over 80% of our budget, so that it's important that we keep them informed of what we're doing. And it's also important that they keep their commitment to us. If we should close, New London would have no library at all. So I do think that we save the city money actually by being a private organization, because our employees don't make the same amount of money as comparable employees in municipal libraries around us. And libraries in general return much more in the investment that the city or town makes on them than what the city gives. I think our last figure was a return of $4 for every dollar in tax money that was spent on us. So it's a good relationship as long as you can keep the city council and the mayor and your population that you serve all on the same page about supporting you and giving you the things you need in the times that you need them.
It sounds like it's one of the best investments a city can make, but also listening to both of you, it's really clear that being on the Board of Trustees is not very little work.
No, it is. It's not overwhelming most of the time. When I first joined, of course, I was a great reader and a book lover, and I was a teacher of English, and I thought, oh, this is great. I get to do something with a place that has all those books. But on the board, you find that your biggest job is keeping the place going, and that involves fundraising and raising awareness for people to give to the library. So it's not exactly the role that you thought it was going to be, but it's a very necessary part of your commitment to making sure that people have the facilities and the services they need. So I like it.
Well, let's talk about what the resources the library has, because if someone goes to the website, it is huge. You look at the calendar of events and it's also huge. So maybe talk a little bit about some of the things people can get. We all know that if you want to borrow books, you can go to a library. And I think it's pretty common now that, people who need internet access can go to a library for that purpose. But libraries are really a lot more than both of those. So maybe talk a little bit about some of the other things people can get through your library.
Rana, we have a lot of resources, and during COVID, we added even more to help our community members. We do have internet within the library. We also have internet outside of the building. So people who want to access internet when we are not open can access in the parking lot. We do see cars early in the morning when you come in and you see cars parked outside, they're using our internet. So that's one big facility that we are providing outside of our building. Um, and curbside service. We started curbside service when COVID had just started. We continue to provide that service. So today, when someone comes in and they need a printout and they still do not want to come into the library, they can just call us, send us an email, we print it out, we take it outside of the library and deliver it contactless. We still do that. Same thing with books and other materials, even craft kits. Take and make kits for children, adults, teens are so popular. Passive programs have been very, very popular even now. People come in after, like before just going from work to home, they step outside, call us or email us, and our staff member takes kits for children to do at home. These are craft kits. Within the library, we have started some in-person programs, and they have been very, very popular. Our chess club is back. Remember those days when people used to come in and play chess? You know, that was something that our library did for the community members to sit together, socialize, enjoy chess. When COVID happened, nothing of that was happening. Now the chess club is back. On an average, we see about 7 to 8 children, adults come and play chess at the library, which is so good to see again. You know what I mean? You really want to see people. A job club. During COVID, we provided the job club on Zoom. So you could book a librarian for 1 hour or 45 minutes, and our staff member would walk you through process of how to get your resume in place, how to apply for a job. The job club is now virtual as well as in person. So you can book a librarian again, but come to the library and a staff member will be able to help you. Recently, we also remodeled a meeting room into a teen space. So we see teens come in, we see teens on the computers doing their homework, we see teens socializing. Again, we do make sure we are socially distant. We do make sure everybody has a mask on, and we do make sure groups are not sitting too close to each other. But they come in and we have activities for them. We have 3D printing classes. We have take and make crafts. We have activities they can do together. We have hot chocolate bombs that they just did. And all of these activities are bringing the community back into the library, and they are enjoying things that they used to, keeping in mind certain restrictions that COVID has put us into. In the children's room, this year we were thinking about, we should do Halloween at the library, and how would we do this, because this was so popular. So we did a wizard walk, which was, I mean, my staff, amazing job that they do. They had a wizard walk outside of the library, like you could stop at various stations outside of the library, and then the last stop would be going into the library to collect small things, candy from everywhere throughout the library and within the library. So we had about 43 families come in for Halloween, wow, which is amazing. And again, it was outdoors, even though, you know, our space is so limited outside of the library, but it was a successful event. So we have been trying to connect with the community. We have been trying to reach out. And again, our programs, which we had to stop, we have started reopening those programs again into in-person programs. Like our program was Empowered Together, where the library serve people with disabilities. We are getting groups back into the library, limited size, but we are getting groups back into the library. So these are some of the programs that are happening in the library. And I'm very proud of my staff. They put in so much effort. And again, public service is not easy during the times of COVID. So we continue to do both in-person, virtual, and curbside.
Well, COVID has really changed the way a lot of organizations, especially the public-facing ones, have had to do things. Are there any things that you have like initiated due to COVID that really you feel like were a real advantage and are things you want to pursue in the future that might not have come about if there hadn't been the need to find new ways to do things?
Uh, Due to COVID, we had plexiglass. I think we'll keep the plexiglass. That's one. We will continue to do curbside because it's popular. People who are coming from jobs, going to jobs can quickly pick up items, books, take and make crafts, materials, printed materials. We can do that. That's easy. COVID has changed us in many different ways. We'll be doing virtual programs, and I think we will continue to do virtual programs. During COVID, we did not want our groups, like our senior groups that we serve, knitting groups or groups for technology learning, they all went virtual. And I think there was a benefit for our patrons because they could still socialize, like our knitting group. We never let the knitting group go during COVID. So we had a virtual knitting group, and all the members could sit on Zoom, talk to each other, and still knit. So we kept the community together. We did not let this group fall off. We also have virtual story time. So bedtime story time. The library closes at 7 o'clock. We have a story time in the evening, but just before bedtime, and children still enjoy that virtual bedtime story time. So those are some programs that we would like to keep doing. Maybe change them a little bit as time goes, but right now I don't see anything of that nature going away. We'll keep doing virtual tours and virtual story times. We keep looking for partnerships. We have entered into many partnerships during COVID because when people were not coming into the building initially, when COVID had happened, we started finding organizations that we could partner with so that we could provide resources to groups that they are working with. So that was a win-win situation for all of us because we would pack a box full of books and deliver it to an organization. We would pack a box full of take-and-make crafts and deliver it to organizations that work directly with teens and children.
Well, it seems as though the access to things has been increased in a lot of ways. And Deneen, you were going to say something.
I just wanted to add that administratively, Zoom has allowed us to have board meetings virtually or a hybrid form of them. And that has increased our effectiveness because folks who are working or may just have an hour here or there don't need to come to the library itself. They can just dial us up on their phone. We can make a quorum more easily. And of course, with internet and so on, we conduct an awful lot of business by way of email and texts now. So the Zoom capabilities has helped us out a great deal that way. And quite honestly, although it is nice to get together and see people in person for board meetings, it's also very convenient to have that availability to be online for it. And it was something that I had suggested years ago when we had Skype, when Skype was the first thing. And we were slow to do it because it involved so much technology and stuff. Now with Zoom, it's much easier. Technology has come a long way. So
yeah,
it's
and
just
we've had
easier.
the need
Yeah.
to establish that. And I agree about the extra good accessibility to meetings. I'm on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'm for 2 meetings in the middle of summer, the city decided to hold planning and zoning meetings in person. And I missed one of them because I was on the West Coast. And honestly, I would have been able to attend a virtual meeting. So I think it's great that, we don't have to drive as much. I think all of our cars have put on very few miles in the last 18 months compared to in the past. And it's really nice to be able to participate in something even when you can't physically be there. Let's see. I was looking on the website and I was actually kind of impressed by how many different ways people can get books. It's like, it's not just, you go, you get a physical book and you take it home. I don't know if the majority of people are still using, paper printed books, or if most of them are reading books on their various devices. But it seems as though you're part of some networks that help people get access to, e-materials as well.
Mm-hmm. So when COVID happened, we are a Lion library. We fall under the Lion Consortium. So together, we work together and we share resources. So one of the resources that we share is ebooks. So we have ebooks. So with your library card, you can access ebooks. When COVID happened, we also subscribe to a database called Canopy. So you could stream movies at home using your library card. Another thing that we changed when COVID happened was you could apply for a library card on the website and you can get one. So in the past, you used to come to the library, get a library card, show your proof of residence. This can all be taken care of now virtually. So you can apply for a library card and get one.
Oh, that's
Um,
really good for me to know, by the way, because I need a new library card. My card is so old that like whatever the code is on the back doesn't work anymore. I'm sure it's
I will make sure I do that.
yeah. So if I can do that online, then I don't have to remember to go to the library when I'm hanging out downtown.
And you can use the library card 24/7 to access all our resources, databases, and any other language learning database that you would like, just using our library card. So all of those things are available through the library card. So for a DVD, you don't have to come into the library now. You can use the same free library card to watch a movie. And you have children, there's a wide selection of movies, children's movies, adult movies, whatever you would like to see. And the list is provided when you log in, you'll get a window saying Public Library of New London, and you can select your movie and watch it. Another big thing that happened with our library during COVID is we went fine free. So our board of trustees let us become fine free. And I think it is important because when we serve our community, it is important that we give them resources without asking them to pay for overdue books. This is access to information and this should be free. So our board of trustees let us be fine free. So if you are taking books with children's books, you take like a pile of books home and say you are a day or two late, I mean, you're accumulating fines. Now that's not going to be happening. So it's all free resources, just come to the library. This is another way of welcoming our community back into the building to use free resources. Plus, everybody should know that the library card is free and all the resources are free. Your museum passes, the museum passes that we have, you can check them out at home, or some of them which you cannot check out from home, you have to come to the library to pick them up. But there are museum passes that you can just print at home and use them, and you don't have to come back to the library to return them. It's just a free resource. We have Children's Museum Pass, which is free for a family of 4. We have discounted passes to Mystic Aquarium. We have discounted passes to Seaport. So we have museum passes and not many people know it. So I'd like to tell everybody today there are resources that the library has, and we have free movies, books. You can print materials, you can fax your items. We have a notary public here. You can get your items, your documents notarized. So we have many, many, many services that we provide.
And I'm really glad to hear that you're fine free. For 12 years, and this was some time ago, I worked for Head Start. I was a home visitor. And one of my goals with the families was always to get them a library card, not just for the books. Well, the hook was the museum passes. And then, visiting the library, a lot of them lived in, the low-income housing within walking distance of the library. So it was a great resource, but there were always some families, young families that said, oh, I can't get a library card because when I was in high school, like 5 years ago, I lost a book or I accumulated fines and now I can never get a card again. And it's really good to know that there isn't that obstacle anymore, because it is really important for families to know the resources and to use them. And I'm convinced that children who, from a young age, feel comfortable in libraries, it really does affect their school achievement over the years.
I just want to add this, Rana. You do have to pay for lost or damaged items. You do not have to pay overdue fines on anything.
Okay.
Just wanted to clear that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't really remember what these parents' issue was, but
Mm.
I think it will. It's helpful that they don't have to
Right.
worry about exactly which day things are returned.
Right. And since we are an aligned consortium and we share resources with other libraries, if we do not have an item that you want, maybe a book or any material movie that we do not have, we can always get it for you here at our library. You can pick it up from here and you could give it back to us and we will send it to the lending library. So that's something that is very useful because of our budget, we are unable to get every single book here and we may not carry. The other thing is the space issue also. We may not have everything that somebody wants to read, but another library may have it. And it's easy for you to just put in a request, we'll get it for you and you can pick it up from here and deliver it to us.
And I have a question for you. Using the New London Library card, can you, well, number one, go to any other libraries in the region, and whether or not they're part of the Lion Network, there's a reciprocity among all the libraries?
So in Connecticut, you have to have a library card from the city where you live in, but you can use that library card at any library in Connecticut, which is so wonderful, which is such a big benefit. Say we do not have a museum pass to any museum in Essex, you can go to Essex, pick that card and use it just using our library card. All you need is a current library card.
And you could use it statewide. I
can
wonder
use it.
how many states have that. That's really fantastic.
Yeah, I'll have to dig into that. I'm not sure, but this is a benefit that Connecticut residents enjoy.
I bet. You were talking about how people are starting to come into the library, and I know that one of the resources that I have used at the library is the meeting rooms. Are there still meeting rooms available for groups to use for,
Yeah.
events?
Rana, the meeting rooms are available. We're not booking the room for, say, if its capacity is 65, we're not booking it for 65. But the rooms are available for meetings and events. One resource that I missed, and it's a very important resource these days, is hotspots. So through grant money, we were able to get hotspots for community members. You can check them out at the library and use them, do your homework, apply for jobs, and return it to the library. Yeah, I believe the lending period is 3 weeks for a hotspot. So we recently got 10, so we're very excited.
Yeah, really, that is important, because I think most people do have internet now, but there are some that don't. So, looking at the calendar, there are like a lot of different classes still available, and some are virtual, I think, some are in person. Maybe you want to talk about, the recurring programs that people can participate in.
Sure. Rana, last month we had 28 adult programs in the library. We are bringing back some in-person programs. Our yoga program in the winters, winter we need some movement programs. Our yoga program was so popular. This is going to be a recurring program for us. Our take and make crafts, as I said, passive programs are very, very popular. So depending on the season, depending on the festivities or celebrations, we're going to be doing take and make crafts for all age groups. And again, this is curbside delivery available on these items. So if you are not coming into the library with the new variant coming in, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but everything is available to be delivered outside of the building. In the children's room, we have the Kubo, the robot program. So children can learn coding with Kubo, the robot, and that's
Wow.
has been popular. We do have for the school vacation week, which is coming up, we have a lot of activities planned for each day. It's a different activity for each day. Plus there will be take and make crafts to take home. Gift making is coming up on the 18th for children's room. So holiday gift making will be available. All supplies will be provided. There'll be a staff member to assist you, but free creativity is always welcome. We do have groups coming into the library, say for teen room projects, we have the 3D printer. So 3D printing activity happens, it's a reoccurring program because children love 3D printing. some like gaming programs with teens is very popular. So games with teens. There is one program in the teen room, which is the board game evening or board game night, whatever they call it, is very popular. We take out board games and teens participate in board game activities, which is so good to see. We see people on technology all the time. It's so good to see teenagers playing board games. So that is popular. Job Club is a recurring program. Um, our our book clubs are getting some attention, so people are coming to our book clubs now. Hamster Diaries, which is so popular, and one of our staff members is running it. Hamster Diaries is something that is a recurring program. What else can I think of?
How often does the Hamster Diaries program come around?
The staff member generally runs it once a month or within 6 weeks, once in 6 weeks. So depends on, and COVID has changed the way we function. So some of our staff members are doing programs from home virtually, and our bedtime story is popular. And again, some programs that our patrons love, we get feedback on, and we try to do it more often than others. We have a cat behavior program coming up soon, which I know people are very excited about. So yeah.
Anyone who can, figure out about, controlling cat behavior at all is a genius anyway. You mentioned board games, and, I think that, board games as an educational tool, I was a preschool teacher, and like just those kinds of family games that we don't do anymore actually, teach a lot of skills that I think are missing in our education nowadays. People don't have to routinely, take turns and do things in some kind of sequence, and so I'm really glad to hear that it's popular among teens to play these games.
And as our chess club, I'm surprised, like people just before we introduced the in-person programs back into the library, we started getting calls from our patrons about the chess club. When is the chess club starting? And I was surprised, and I was happy to see that people want to come back and play chess again. So yeah.
So yeah, I want to kind of move away a little bit from the specifics of our library and talk a little bit about like the bigger issues of like the value of libraries in our communities. It seems as though libraries are something that, a custom or that began hundreds of years ago. And it's sort of an old-fashioned thing that's been retained, but it's a public space that you don't find very much anymore. So, how do you feel your role is in terms of just, being one of the few public spaces that's available to people that doesn't necessarily cost money to participate in?
Rana, a library is a place where everyone is welcome. You can just walk into the library. You'll not be judged. You can read a newspaper, you can use a computer. You don't even need a library card to use a computer. So you can just walk in, you need to print a ticket, you go on a computer, you print a ticket to a train, or you can look up any information. Say you're researching about the medication you're taking, you can go on a computer and research that. This is one place where you are welcome and you're respected. Our staff member greets you with a smile when you walk in. If you need a printout, you can do that. If you need to fax a piece of paper, you can do that. You need a notary public, somebody here to do that for you. There are free programs for you. There are mental health programs available for you. And any resource, say Access Health, Connecticut would set up a table here for you if you need information. So all of these programs, we're collecting. So right now we are having 3 programs here at the library. One is, knitting and knitted goods. We're collecting knitted items to donate to the Homeless Hospitality Center. We have we're accepting food donations to give to the New London Food Pantry. So you can bring in food. In the past, it used to be called food for fines. So we used to take away fines from your account and in return collect food for food, the New London Food Pantry. Now we're fine free. So we're only collecting food for the holidays. So come in, if you have donations to give, we'll take those. We also have the MLK book drive going on. So we are collecting books by African-American authors and by Latino authors. So, I mean, it's a place to participate. It's a place where you socialize. If it's a place where you gather and you celebrate, we celebrate every occasion, like it's Black History Month, it's Native American History Month, Italian History Month. So we celebrate all occasions. I mean, this is a neutral space, as I say. Denise, do you want to add to?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that one of the best ways to characterize the library is that it's kind of the living room of the community, because there are so many different things that you can do, and we want it to feel like a safe haven, a comfortable place for people to come, where they don't have to do anything in particular. They can come in and decide if they want to just look through the books, or if they want to just look through a magazine, or if they just want to use our local history room, which does take a little bit of, you do have to go and ask for it to be opened up, but you don't have to, quote unquote, do anything in particular. It's kind of a free space for everyone. So in a manner of speaking, it's a mental way to put your feet up and sit on the couch. We don't encourage you to put your feet up at the library, but certainly that kind of idea of relaxation and recreation is what we're all about. And without a bona fide community center yet in the city, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
And say when people have lost power, the library provided a space for them to charge their equipment, to charge their phones. Water was provided, and we act as a cooling center and a warming center depending on the weather. We also are a center for summer meals for children during summer. So the library is basically a community hub, as Deneen mentioned.
Yeah, it seems as though I've seen, even like in my lifetime, more and more that was once considered public space has been kind of commodified. You don't really have public squares very much anymore. You have shopping malls, and they're not really public. So the library, whether it's a municipal library or a community library that's organized like New London's, it's like really a public space. It feels public. It doesn't feel like you're walking into something that's owned by someone else. And
and say there is a new technology that's available in the market. People come to the library to learn it. That's important because we teach you the new technology. That technology is changing so fast. What is today may be obsolete in a couple of months, but who teaches you these technologies? We run these technology classes. We also partner with organizations. In the past, we've partnered with the Senior Center to teach technology to them. So we take our programs outside of the building also. Outreach is so important for us.
And it seems to me, as you were talking, it was occurring to me that the nature of research has really changed over the last several decades. 30 years ago, I think it conjured up, people looking through microfiche for like old newspaper articles. And now it's, of course, with the advent of the internet, and it has changed tremendously. I know I've used the nonprofit resource center that you have at the library, and I'm guessing a lot of people do use that who are connected with nonprofits.
Right. And we do have a database, which is, we used to be called Foundation Directory Online. Now it's run through Candid. During COVID, they let us share the link to it with patrons so that they can access it from home. So which is another big benefit. that you can still access that database with a library card at your home, at the convenience of your home.
You're right about the research, Rana. Certainly back in the days when you and I were researching things, there was a lot of search, a lot of physical search. You had to actually go to places, sometimes travel many miles to do research. And nowadays, people say, well, if you want to know the answer, ask Google. I would like to say, if you want to know the right answer, ask a librarian. Because one of the things that we do emphasize is that even though you are searching on the internet and you find information, you have to validate those sources. You have to examine those sources for whatever bias might exist in them. So in that way, we are doing the same kinds of things that as school teachers, when we were teaching students how to do research and how to find sources, we were teaching them then how to assess their sources and how to validate them. So that hasn't changed. What has changed is the need to emphasize it a little bit more, because just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true. Anybody could contribute any kind of a line to a Wikipedia article, and it may or may not be a fact. So there is a lot of fact checking that needs to go on. But certainly, it's a lot easier to find things out now with the databases. And also, the library subscribes to some databases. Madhu, do we just subscribe to Ancestry and things like that?
So on our website, you have a list of all the databases that can be used, ancestry.com. You can also read newspapers. The Connecticut State Library has all the listing of databases. You just have to use your library card to access all of those.
So it's much easier now. You can get all of this information that before you had to make an appointment and physically go and show up and sign a waiver and all of that kind of stuff to access it. And we are doing what we can to make the archives of the New London Day available online too. The day itself does not have the archives that we have at the Public Library of New
Really?
London. That's the truth. It's really hard to believe, but the day did away with their library of back issues quite some time ago. But we were fortunate. We had microfilm and microfiche of what they had, and we are slowly putting that online. We're digitizing it. It's expensive, but we're doing it in a piecemeal way, so that if you wanted to find out, if you wanted to see your parents' wedding announcement, for example, you could probably find it if we've digitized that amount of the day.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. At one time, of course, I was looking for old newspaper articles about Riverside Park, and fortunately, there was someone else who did the hard research. But there were articles from 1910, 1915. Some of them were really interesting because it seemed like the more things changed, the more they stay the same. There was an article that was written over 100 years ago about how people were paying too much attention to Ocean Beach and not enough to Riverside Park. And so yes, 110 years ago, almost the same sentiments that I've sometimes felt like today. When it comes to research and the discernment of, evaluation of good information, I think libraries are so often now also on the front line against censorship and for the free exchange of information. And sometimes I feel like librarians really are like front line in a free society.
Right. Rana, so free speech, free writing. Librarians do not like censorship. We like to provide people with information, and we celebrate Banned Book Week. So we want people to check out the banned books that are banned, and have a look at them. And you can see so many titles these days being challenged. librarians are not in favor of challenging items. We want people to read the information that is available. And it's free. It's, yeah.
So, people who are watching this show who are interested in being supportive of the library or getting involved in some things, what are some good ways to suggest that people get involved? And I'll start out by asking if Deneen, if you need more people on the board.
Well, we're always looking for folks for our board. As a matter of fact, right now we are trying to develop a list of names of folks because we have a board member who has moved, but due to the magic of Zoom, he hasn't been able to relinquish his duties meeting. But we would like to replace this individual because in his new community, he will want to be active and so on. So yes, we always are looking for members for the board. We try to keep our board looking like our community. So we have a diverse board. We also have certain skills and well, activities that we need to have. We need to have financial people who can help us guide us in what we do with our monies. We also need we do currently have an attorney on our board to kind of run by the legality of some of our policies and procedures. And we need folks in the community who know other folks in the community. We need folks who have influence and who are positive representatives of the community. So all of that is very, very important. More than that, though, we need volunteers and we need people to join our Friends organization. You probably remember Josie Esposito, who was so instrumental in the Friends and such an important person for us in fundraising and getting out there and getting the library's word out. And of course, she unfortunately died last year. So now we have a Friends organization that's trying to pick up the pieces because Josie was so much a part of that organization. So that's another issue. The fundraising part that the Friends did was very important to us and still is. They usually funded our museum passes as well as gave us checks for whatever other things were going on that we needed. And I hate to say it, but fundraising is always important to our library. There is Adopt a Book going on right now where patrons can come in or not. You can call and do it or do it online, Madhu. Is that possible?
You can.
Where you can buy individual titles and dedicate them to someone. Say you have an uncle who has a birthday, but he has everything he needs and doesn't want any more stuff. Well, you can buy a book that he might feel honored to see his name in as somebody who was remembered through that title. So that's one way to do it. And of course, we always accept monetary gifts. We are always looking for donations that way. The Charter Oak Federal Credit Union just recently had its matching gifts program, which it's been doing every year for, I think, the past 4 or 5 years now. And it runs from August to November. So if you've missed it, that's all right. We'll still accept your single gift. It doesn't have to be matched. You don't have to wait until next November. We'll take it now. But we have been very blessed by that program, and we are so grateful to Charter Oak because it seems that this year they gave away $400,000 to local nonprofits. So that's, you figure people have given 400,000 for that 400,000 to be matched. It's really wonderful. And of course, we accept books for our book sale. Our Friends organization does a book sale every year, at least they had. They did not do one last year because of COVID. I don't know where they are with trying to prepare one for this coming year because now we have this new variant and it's making most of the people who would be involved in that a little more leery about meeting in person and doing the physical labor that's involved in getting the books together. But if you have any questions about how you can help the library, please
Yeah.
give us a call, and I'm sure Madhu and her staff will be more than willing to let you know in which ways you can help us, besides just coming in and using our facilities and seeing what we have to offer. I mean, we're here for you.
Well, I was going to ask you if someone wants to participate in the Friends of the library, who, who they should call or contact, but it sounds like Madhu will take all those calls.
I will
Yes,
be
she
happy
will.
to.
Fran Kinsel is in the presidency of the Friends right now. So you could contact her through our library. If you called the library and said you wanted to talk to Fran, the library would give you her number. They would call her and have her call you, whichever way works out best for people. But certainly, we are always looking for help in one way or another.
So if even with the annual book sale kind of up in the air, are you still taking book donations at this time, or is that on hold?
Yes, we are accepting book donations, Rana. We are getting a lot of book donations these days. Yeah.
Are there any particular kinds of books you want and any particular ones you don't want?
We do not take textbooks, but other than that, we are open to take any books.
Anything that's in good condition.
Yeah, that's in
People
good condition.
Yeah, I think I might have some gardening books at home
We
that
would love to have them.
yeah. Now, when is the sale usually held?
In May, third week of May, right, Deneen, third week of May?
Yes, it's usually the week after Mother's Day and the week before Memorial Day. So wherever that falls and that fits. But I need to mention also that the library does have books available for sale at a very small rate in a couple of shelves, $1 for a copy. So there is always something there that you can browse through and take home.
We also have book bundles for holidays. So we have like $1.50 book bundle for holidays that is nicely packed and ready to be gifted. So those are available also.
Well, now with school vacation coming up soon and the holidays coming up soon, maybe before we sign off, you can mention again what kind of, particular programs and things you have going on over the next couple weeks.
For the school holidays, we have a lot of programs for all age groups. In the children's room, we're going to be having a specific activity every day for children to participate in person. We also will be having a lot of take and make crafts, holiday crafts or crafts in general that you would like to pick up. Right now, we were doing a snow globe. Deneen took one from me. I hope your grandson enjoyed it, Deneen.
I think they're still picking up styrofoam beads.
And for adults, we have, yesterday we had a holiday craft. And we also have another holiday craft coming up very soon. So every department is getting ready for holidays, for holiday programs and take and make crafts, and which will be available curbside also.
And I think before we sign off, I'm going to share my screen briefly so people can just take a look at the website and get an idea of everything that is available there. I mean, there is a donate button if people want to give a monetary donation. Employment, the Martin Luther King Book Drive, memory kits, adopt a book, Spanish language portal. So there is a huge amount. This is just the homepage. And if you look along the top, there are events for children's, teens, ways to get involved. How do you do all kinds of things that are just services that people might need on an everyday basis. So I also recommend that people who are, I hope I stopped sharing. Yes,
you did.
people, you'd think I'd have Zoom down pat by now, but I don't. But yeah, that anything you want. The information is also on the website. So if we didn't cover it here, you can still find it. And the website, the URL is simple, plnl.org.
Or give us a call at 860-441 447-1411. Sorry.
Well, thank you to both of you for joining me today. And we will tack on a community calendar and air it next week. And we'll try to put some of the vacation activities on it so people can look at those as well. So thanks again for joining us, and to everyone watching. Don't forget to use our public library, because it really is a resource that is so valuable in our community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rana.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Thanks for joining us.